Marvel. We send you for not having Moon Knight in the intro to his own show, and you respond by putting him in the intro to Miss Marvel? So did you also put Miss Marvel in the intro to your Miss Marvel TV show? I don't think so. Now I must marvel that Marvel missed the marvelous Miss Marvel and Marvel's Miss Marvel, making Marvel's Miss Marvel intro marvelous. Liz and Kamala, Thor was clearly still rocking his thunder gut during the battle for Earth, so I don't appreciate the revisionist godbod representation and the resulting body image pressure. But also, what's up with his evil eyebrowed angry Thormund Giantsbane face? Let the conspiracies commence, because that is not Thor 616. Stapling an enemy's oofy doodah bits.
Captain Marvel blasted in!
I love this, but my eyes are hurting and my jump cuts need therapy. Why is the podcast art a rectangle? 3,000 by 3,000, Scott. 3,000 by 3,000. Having two documents with the same title on your desktop mere inches away from each other. Unrealistic representations of upload time for videos.
Remember, new episodes drop every Wednesday.
Unrealistic content expectations. Don't let the content beast eat you alive, Kamala, or else you might find yourself sitting in front of a computer trying desperately to stay relevant and funny while delivering 5 pieces of content a week and wondering where the last decade went. You know, just as an example. This wayward string, it beckons me. It asks for cutting. It asks for pulling. Just take care of it.
Kamala, please don't forget to look at the mirrors every 15 seconds at least.
15 seconds? 5 to 8 seconds is the recommended standard for checking your car's mirrors, and an overprotective mom would absolutely know that. We've seen this student driver crashes into a car that just happens to be the car of their instructor cliche so many times, I'm pretty sure you didn't even need to have him say, "That's my car," when we were well aware of that the moment it happened 10 seconds earlier. Marvel continues showing us the New York City skyline, but not giving us any info on the current state or ownership of Avengers Tower. I've read the guidebook to toxic fandom, and it clearly states you owe us every piece of information that we ask for, so spill. I get it. High school sucks for most people, but does every single coming-of-age tale ever told need to hit us over the head with this forced, never-ending lineup of consecutive cringe encounters the second our protagonist walks through the door?
No, Bruno.
Putting the nose before Bruno's name in your Encanto reference.
I'm sorry, I really do love you.
You're also apparently clairvoyant, because that's the only way you would have known Kamala already knew about the driving test bet. The entire school seems to be a sort of billboard for information, and there are 0 ticks drawn on the posters. In a high school? Impossible.
Very funny.
Very talented. Surely the art teacher can look past the tenterhorns and recognize and appreciate the artistry.
Then you're going to look yourself in the mirror, and you're going to ask yourself, Kamala, who is that girl I see staring straight back at me?
Choosing reflection instead of I'll make a man out of you.
I know fantasy's fun. Fantasy's really fun. But right now, I need you to pull yourself together and join reality.
This is get your head out of the clouds kid clicheing so hard right now I half expect the Thing to pop around the corner and ponder his big, strong hands before Kamala flies away on the Luck Dragon from Shang-Chi.
There's not going to be another first Avenger con ever again.
Ah yes, the short-sightedness of youth. The first isn't always the most exciting or memory-worthy. Trust me. I'm sorry, is he airbrushing a costume in a convenience store?
So can we stop acting like your mom is Darth Vader?
Referencing Encanto, Mulan, and Star Wars within 5 minutes of each other? If we get a National Geographic reference in the next 5 minutes, I'm calling Disney Plus bingo. Why ride through someone's ball game? Certainly there are roads that you can stay on. I mean, maybe not for the sweet cinematic shot we have going on at the moment, but in real life there's no reason to bike through.
Is this from Nani?
Must be things for the Batpaki.
One thing I'm really loving in this show is the cultural immersion. I'm guessing most people don't know what a Bapaki is, and the show doesn't care to explain it. We just move on because it's normal with the characters, and that's that. It's rare to feel invited into a new cultural experience and not have everything over-explained to the point of distraction. I fucking love this.
They charge you for extra sauce at Halal Guys.
Yes, the Halal Guys is a real place, and yes, I'm adding us in because it looks delicious, and the closest one is currently 400 miles away from me. What no one here seems to be addressing is that if Bruno just made them this and is showing them how it works, then he must have also either bought and installed them smart lights throughout the entire house without their knowledge, or hacked into their electricity at the source.
Zuzu, switch to sports channel.
Can Zuzu read minds? Because I don't care what television package you have, you've got more than one sports channel. This would be like saying, Zuzu, tell that story about the time I embarrassed myself so immensely I had to move to a new city. Zuzu's gonna need a few more details to narrow it down.
Knock, please.
Right? Always knock. I don't care who you are or who you think is or isn't on the other side. Doors are shut for a reason, Adam. Connecting your messaging app to your Starfield projector so that everyone can see your text on your ceiling. Stopping in the middle of the road to check your phone.
Just a second.
I don't know which is more convenient, that this full-length robe just happened to be sitting right there, or that her mom's suspicion meter doesn't go off immediately and keep us from the inevitable and already tiresome misunderstanding gets worse conversation. Honestly, these She-Hulk promotions are getting a bit out of control. At least the effects look better here, though.
Meet me on the roof in 10.
And she does, meaning somehow her parents were super okay with her biking to see her buddy at night just after a dramatic and emotional family fallout. I just don't get the impression they would be okay with that.
My mom, my teachers, Mr. Wilson.
He prefers Gabe, Kamala. Sheesh.
Oh, Bruno Corelli Corporations. I like it. It has a nice ring to it.
No, that says B. Corelli. It rhymes. That's why it has a nice ring to it.
The TV. Oi, yaar. Kamala, please tell Bruno the Zuzu is possessed by the evil jinn.
If you were going to do the actual light bulb turns on above a character's head when they have an idea cliche, did you really have to shove it down our ocular cavities by adding the animation as well? We get it. You've seen a Mel Brooks movie. Deadpool effectively destroyed the hero landing for good 6 years ago, and even the MCU mocked it in Black Widow. So I don't care if this 3-point landing is done seriously, for jokes, or even a meta commentary. All three things have been done better elsewhere, so maybe just stop doing them.
I'll sneak back into my room just before my dad comes in at 9:22 p.m.
That is a very specific time for your dad to come into your room. Does it mean something? Is there something you're trying to tell us about September 22nd? The Salem witch trials had their final executions on September 22nd. That's it. It's clear. Kamala will be accused of witchcraft by the end of the season and stand trial where She-Hulk and Matt Murdock will defend her. Quit making your Easter eggs so obvious, Marvel.
All this? And that's your note? Really?
Did she casually draw this during science class? Has everyone gone home for the day and they lingered for the chalkboard and somehow the teacher was super fine with that?
And that is why the salamanders are almost extinct in Pakistan.
I think we're supposed to feel for Kamala here, who seems bored by this conversation, but animal extinction is interesting and important. What's AvengerCon when you could be educated on amphibian conservation? This is supposed to be the real world, right? Kamala literally just did a headfirst dive to grab a branch on a tree 2 stories in the air, as if this is just a normal thing teenagers do when sneaking out of the house. Why would she do this? Is she aware she's wearing about 6 layers of plot armor? Also, convenient pile of leaves that still wouldn't break the fall enough to do much is convenient. Stopping to observe the bus you're desperately trying to catch instead of continuing the process of desperately trying to catch it. The leg hiker looks to our camera and I am unreasonably annoyed by it. Oof, tough look for vision here. The memorial wall only including Tony and Natasha is pretty harsh. Don't let Wanda see it. She might kidnap your entire town and force you into slave labor for her own fantasies, only to be redeemed because she maybe learned her lesson for a few seconds before a movie needed her to be super evil again. And we wouldn't want something like that to happen. Kamala's phone goes off and says, motion detected, and then it shows us the dining room where her parents already are. How is that thing not going off every few seconds? Look, show, if you just needed to remind us that Kamala's here without her parents' permission, you could have just had her check the camera without the notification like a normal creepy teenager who has cameras set up to spy on their parents. People who don't realize there are flashes on when it doesn't need to be. Kamala sets her helmet down so the badass gloves touch the disgusting bathroom floor. Who does that? People who need an excuse to lose them for a plot point. That's who.
Last call for the Captain Marvel cosplay competition.
It is not.
What are you wearing?
Square spinner.
Dumb red carpet questions. Oh, sure. Bruno's been into Kamala in this whole process this entire time, but just at the moment magic stuff happens, he's all like, I think I'll stare at the people on the stage nonstop now, so the audience will believe that this means I'm not seeing this, and that will stand in for the rest of this massive crowd who also is somehow not noticing this. Yep, that's exactly what unsure and nervous humans do. They go directly to the center of the stage and walk to the very front. It's basic psychology. Look it up. I'd like to make it clear that this not spherical Ant-Man noggin will land in water with the antenna parts facing forward, making it difficult to roll and almost zero forward momentum. And yet somehow we'll roll 100 feet through this warehouse, crashing into tables, demolishing a giant brick wall, and still having enough force left to give head to a load-bearing support beam. Physic much, movie? Zoe survives this. Bet she'll be a little Thor tomorrow. I'm sorry, just please continue watching to the end anyway. It appears as though our heroes are panic pedaling home after a disturbing event. One would think they would ditch the light up attention-grabbing costumes to seem less suspicious, but no. Maybe the first indicator that Kamala's been busted is that her parents closed the fucking window she left open.
Kamala, where have you been?
How has Kamala not checked the camera? I know she was preoccupied at the event, but she couldn't have taken a second on the bike ride home to see how things were going at the home front.
Or do you want to be some, this cosmic head in the clouds person?
She asks while standing in a room that is a vibrant shrine to a cosmic woman flying headfirst through the clouds. You did 17 of these earlier. We do not need another one.
Bring her in.
At this point, I'm just going to send a post-credit scene in a Marvel production cliche and move on. 2 basketballs are not enough to call this scene out for over-basketballing, but it is too many basketballs for a high school hallway without the accompanying teacher yelling for them to put those in a locker. I wonder if, now that Kamala's all confident and stuff, she'll realize that she can break this pattern of perfectly timed high school hallway bullshit by simply arriving a minute earlier or 2 minutes later.
What makes you think you have Ant-Man powers?
Because we're both charming and we look a lot younger than we are.
Marvel thinks that its introduction of the multiverse makes it okay to steal jokes from our universe about Paul Rudd's abnormal and completely unfair genetics.
I heard Zoe's follower count quadrupled this weekend.
And now we enter the opposite side of the hallway, where the tunnel of exposition is already in progress. This QR code works! Yes, I'm giving that a sin, because it leads us to a site where Marvel teases free content while also dangling in front of us another paid subscription service, which I'm probably signing up for because I'm absolutely loving the show. So the sin is me being incapable of not giving my money to Marvel and Disney being incapable of not taking it.
And then all of a sudden there was all this screaming and I was thrown to the ground.
How do you forget that you were slammed by Thor's hammer? How do you forget that? Also, you know all those times in life where you stand shoulder to shoulder with your friends for a protracted period of time so everyone has to turn their necks 90 degrees to engage in the conversation and the camera can film everyone from the same angle? Yeah, neither do I.
So, who was it?
Nightlight.
Show is leaning hard into its portrayal of superheroes as celebrities in this reality, so it stands to reason that Kamala is an up-and-coming star. What doesn't make sense is that Zoe would feel the need to make up this name on the spot. That would be like us naming Courtney Cox Nightlight when we saw her for the first time in Cocoon: The Return. I don't know, guys. It's hard for me to take scenes like this seriously when there are people positioned behind Zoe who are only able to stare directly at the back of her head, as if that is somehow normal. I see we're sticking with the 17 logos theme in episode 2, which means I suddenly feel obligated to sin this again. But I don't like being obligated to sin, so this sin is for the pressure to sin and my determination to break free by sinning it anyway, which somehow brings me a sense of control. Therapy for the win. Now I'm going to point out that if the school has any budget issues, they might want to consider turning unneeded lights off in unused parts of the building like this one. I guess we wouldn't truly be backstage in a high school theater if this random assortment of easily toppled items wasn't set up and ready to fall at the slightest nudge. Featuring this beautiful mural by B-Mike would have earned this show a sin off, were it not for the fact that it's in Atlanta and not Jersey City.
Okay, no super strength. All I got is this.
Being mildly dissatisfied with just one superpower.
So it looks like your power isn't coming from the bank.
Show wants you to know that you'll do none of this and more on your Microsoft Surface.
Does this look like some kind of writing?
Looks like Arabic or Urdu. I don't know.
If only the teenage smart guy who somehow managed to scan your body and interpret all sorts of graphs and on a tablet could also take a photo of this writing and feed it into a piece of technology that would immediately Google Translate it. Again, the show says New Jersey when the skyline says Georgia.
You have to let me go.
As the saying goes, pride comes before the fall from an inconsequential height that you concealed with a deceiving camera angle to artificially create tension, despite the fact that we all know you're not going to harm the main character in any meaningful way in the second episode of the series. Also, super good thing that not one person is looking through all these windows at the highly suspect shenanigans happening in broad daylight. Beating pipes does not make water come out faster. Beating pipes makes it worse.
No Snapchatting in the masjid.
It's Insta.
When you're so brand loyal that you feel the need to correct your elders in the masjid, but still can't be bothered to use the entire name of said brand.
They really gotta fix this place.
No, you mean they gotta fix our section of this place.
It's clear this scene is trying to make a point about unequal distribution of resources, but audio feedback is loud, terrible, and should be heard all throughout this room, not just in one section.
Sisters, no talking during the lecture, please.
Because of course our favorites get in trouble for whispering, even though the selfie sisters were so loud just a moment ago. Selective hearing that drives the plot is selective.
And the mosque shoe thief has struck again.
Writers think I won't immediately become more interested in the case of the shoe thief than I am in the main plot.
That is the 22nd pair of shoes that have been stolen.
So go with me here. Maybe stop wearing expensive, desirable shoes to a place where people keep stealing them?
Thanks for coming. Miguel's hovering.
Who the f*** is Miguel?
What's up? You want some?
Is there alcohol in that?
Nah, it's just orange juice.
Who the f*** is this kid? And why is he offering random people his orange juice? And why is Kamala accepting his orange juice? And why does the scene feel like a meaningful lesson about not trusting drinks from strangers wrapped in a contrived coming-of-age trope? And why do I feel like adding a sin even though I agree with the message?
Remember my shirt?
I was going to sin the attractive character sexily emerges from water cliche, but I'm going to pivot to the starstruck character standing on clothing that is needed by waterlogged hottie cliche because it's just so annoying when it happens. Did she just pull a drink out of the freezer? I think she just pulled a drink out of a freezer. This is one of the most clever ways I've seen texting visualized on screen. It reminds me of just how well this show makes use of effects like this to tell Kamala's story and give her world a fun and youthful aesthetic. Kamala agrees to driving lessons without checking with her parents first? Is that allowed? Kids are terrifying.
Spent 6 weeks on ancient Rome and ancient Greece, but 6 minutes on ancient Persia and Byzantium.
Nakia would be the marvelous Miss Marvel at World History Sins.
Hey, Kick, are you feeling all right?
Kamala can't stop glowing, which I fail to see the issue with, but the show presents it as a problem that can't be solved without first confirming that she's tried to take the bangle off, or that she even still has it on for that matter.
I know how weird your mom can get about tampons.
Tampons? Oh, come on. It's not like people believe they get lost in your bloodstream or something. Wait, they did? Okay, well, it's not like some people believe you lose your virginity to them or something. Oh, they do. Fine, at least we all know they're made from cotton candy. Wait, what? Okay, well then this sin is for ridiculous misunderstandings about tampons. I mean, she does have another hand if she wanted to carry on the cycle ruse and reach for it.
De-stress after school. Best thing you can do. Drive.
In Jersey City? Show wants me to believe that it believes there are roads in the tri-state area designed in any way to help someone de-stress without having a full-on panic attack.
Maybe someday you'll feel like Jersey's your home.
Jersey?
This is Kamran. He's our cousin.
This works.
The British left us with a mess.
My exact statement after eating lunch with Ian somehow makes it into the script.
Hey, there's a story about Muniba's family
that I quickly need to talk about because it's important to the plot, so stand by while I exposit a little for the audience.
I wait for the post every day.
Yeah, I'll get on that.
Bold-faced lying to your elders.
But no, I've spoken too much already. No, I'm not going to talk about this at all, beta.
As someone who once received an electric massager from their grandparents, I'm aware that certain presents should never be acknowledged or discussed. But Nani refusing to talk about the family heirloom she just gifted Kamala seems more about drawing out the story and less about things people actually do. I don't have a mango man in this scene.
Oh, something wrong?
The voices on the phone could be heard in the hallway a ways from the door. Mr. Khan bangs on the door, and when he opens it, he believes that Kamala is just asleep. Are the men in this show just dumb?
After that, we will mobilize the Sunday school teachers to help infiltrate the InstaClick.
Fine, don't explain what incriminating evidence has given the teachers leverage over the InstaClick, but at least tell me, why are these teens always ordering groceries?
Technically the reverts.
But to do that, you have to make it past the mini Harami girls.
What? Have they been sworn to protect the reverts for some reason? Even then, it looks like they're really into running around a bunch, so getting past them is probably just a matter of waiting till they're out of your way.
The Illuminantes.
Dibs. I'll talk to them.
I mean, sure, go directly to the aunties, but wasn't the whole point of the last scene to go to specific groups first to get a greater chance at the aunties? And if not, then why show us the previous progression of the political plan at all?
I have to go after my white whale.
Character uses everyone's favorite literary reference for something difficult, cliché. As Nakia presses for a vote, I'm reminded that too many people use the political knuckle-pointing gesture thing. It's distracting, and I'm so focused on it that I can't even hear anything important being said. Oh, she's talking about women's rights? Oh, no worries. We don't have to worry about anything changing there, right? Right. I'm not sure where to get anything on this plate, and that is a f***ing sin because it looks delicious.
Is this about the party?
It's a strange question to ask when the first question should be, where are my parents?
I heard she killed a man. Dead.
Yes. Killing one does mean they are dead. I never understand why anyone says killed a man dead, as if there are other options. Not figuring out what filter setting to use prior to selfieing yourself out a window so that the writers could cook up a scenario requiring our resident hero to intervene. In summation, even as a narrative device, the sin here is still kids. How did anyone get this shot at eye level as Kamala did her ridiculous 3-point superhero landing? Given the way he lands on each of these things as he blinkos his way to the ground, it makes sense if he said, my face, my back, my ribs, or even my ass, but my ankle? How the f*** did that happen? Show wants us to believe that no one here, not even Scowls McGee, saw Kamran zoom in with his uncle's whip, pick up Kamala, and speed away.
I'd like you to meet my mom.
Damn, Kamran. You've only been on one date.
I found the bangle. Should we be concerned it's on a severed arm?
Faria would be a good guy that actually turns out to be a bad guy at TVSins. Also, should we be concerned that we're just freely touching the blue severed arm without thinking of the cooties that are undoubtedly mating on the skin? Yes. Yes, we should.
So where's the other one?
I told you. The British have probably looted this place twice over by now.
But since the audience wasn't here for that, I'm going to tell you again. Also, the British.
Then one will have to do.
What is she basing that on? Is she happy for whatever she's doing to only work 50% of the time or only at 50% of the power? I'm not pretending to know how this thing works, but I really wouldn't want to risk only half of me being teleported across dimensions.
They're going to destroy the cave! They're setting it on fire!
How does one set stone aflame?
Did you see that?
Nope, because once again, when the bangle is activated, no one is looking.
You go that way. I'll go check on the others.
Characters split up for reasons, even though they likely don't have to, cliché.
We're not here by choice. We were exiled.
And that is not at all a massive warning sign in any way, for some reason.
Don't mind him. We've been around for 100 years, and he picks the stupidest parts of humanity to be obsessed with.
Shut your mouth. Pop rocks are explosive particles of oral and aural joy, and I will not hear otherwise. Ball decorations and bowls baffle me. Are they reminders of when people had yarn balls at the ready for knitting or crochet? Are they cat taunts? Why take up this much space for a bowl of fucking balls?
But I know that you've inherited greatness.
And with greatness comes great... Wait.
And now you must finish what she started.
Nope, she does not. Generational expectations can go to hell. In a shocking turn of events, Miss Marvel has veered from the 17 logo pattern of the first 2 episodes to a baffling 19. Why? Why not have 18 last episode and 20 next episode? Did no one plan this? Did no one think that someone would go frame by frame counting every single image? Does no one know who we are anymore?
See, there's like ghost stories and then there's Jinn stories, and the Jinn stories are so much worse because they're real.
And yet still no alarm bells are ringing that these people that just poofed into Kamala's life out of nowhere may not be on the up and up.
Also, they need my help, which means I need your help.
Boldly admitting that you are flat out using your friend.
Do you know anything about interdimensional travel off the top of your head?
I get that this is a deliberately ridiculous request to get a laugh, but does she honestly expect...
Actually, no, that reminds me of a paper I read.
What the f***, he actually does?
Serious because your person of interest is enhanced, or because she was spotted at a mosque, ma'am?
I hate to imagine how often incidents similar to this have happened in the last 20 years. I'm willing to bet it's all too often, and I'm glad the show's putting it front and center. Watching TikTok on your computer instead of your phone. Also, TikTok.
All these people your family?
Has this not been explained to you before today? Is anyone asking how Bruno had a perfect model of Kamala's face with which to create this mask? I just realized that the lighting of the store is perfect for dramatic tension, but horrible for actual shopping.
Hey, listen, I can help you with this.
Mr. Khan will somehow spot the word Jinn from this very casual glance, which will result in him exposit translationing the whole damn thing so that everyone in the back row is brought up to date. Also, what is up with the shot? Why does it look like we're hiding inside the shelf spying on Mr. Khan and Bruno? Or am I not supposed to talk about that?
What do we have here?
A highly specific piece of lore about a highly specific group of people that will specifically assist this scene becoming highly convenient for the plot.
Cheer up, come on.
Yeah, kill that emotion. The timing isn't right when someone else needs attention for a greater and more important event than your breakdown. Don't be overtaken when you can clamp a lid on that so tight it will never leak out through the form of losers' tears. Excuse me, show? There have been inventive texting visuals overlaid over bedspreads, neon signs, and lights on the ceiling. Where's the ingenuity now? Why aren't the characters on the wall bursting to life and spelling out this conversation? You set the standard. Why allow this text to be boring? Tricking me into thinking this QR code was a possible teaser for a new Monument Valley, when in fact it is yet another attempt to get me to sign up for something that costs money after 7 days. Weddings.
A man has one fundamental choice in life: to live a life in fear or love.
Mr. Khan then goes on to also mention that
he chooses faith, courage.
Which seems like more than one fundamental choice to me. And to make things more confusing, he adds,
a man who chooses family is never alone.
So now our fundamental singular choices of love or fear, which was an oversimplification meant to make things easier for Amir, has instantly become more complicated with faith, courage, and family now on the table.
Never have I seen a couple so certain of their love as they are of themselves.
And everyone else in the room who is married by this man takes a long look at their marriage partner and wonders if this is yet another sign that they shouldn't have married so soon.
We're going to make her help us. I'm not asking anymore.
My goodness, Najma goes all in on the evil reveal very quickly. There's still a good chance that Kamala will help them, and after 100 years of waiting, what's the rush now? Exposing yourself now is far riskier. And if you don't believe me, Najma, just skip ahead to the end of the episode. This extremely wholesome celebration is beautiful, but still goes on for all the did I not mention I hate weddings sometime. I don't mind a great dance scene in a show, especially ones that are so filled with smiles and vibrancy, but I do mind all the shots to the audience's reaction. Why cut away to strangers to prove that everyone's having a good time? Show me the cast dancing or show me nothing at all.
You're not safe. None of you are safe.
What?
Kamala, they're coming after you.
Instead of telling Kamala exactly what's going on, Kamran pronoun games so hard that even though I've seen the build up to this, I still have no idea what or who he's talking about.
Everyone needs to get out of here right now!
You'd think the room that has the most fire in the building would also have the most fire alarms, but clearly not, because as the rest of the building evacuates, these cooks continue about their evening. I hope they get tipped well.
Is everything all right inside? They're not letting us back in.
Yes, that's generally how fires work, even the unconfirmed ones. Wasting cake. It would appear that the battle strategy of attacking one at a time and ignoring any possible flanking maneuvers afforded by having multiple people on your side is a multi-dimensional constant. Hang on, if Najma can just use that dagger spear to smash the marvelous stepping stones, why doesn't she use it to break through the light shield that Kamala puts up? It's made of the same shit, right? This is some physics-defying bullshit, even for Marvel. The only way Kamala escapes from the tablecloth unseen is if the hench people somehow suffered from temporary blindness, or the Bengal decided to function as a plot teleporter instead of plot armor for a few seconds. The magical beings from another dimension quickly ditch their cool signature weaponry for good old fisticuffs, because that's clearly more entertaining to watch. Once again, several people are approaching Kamala who suddenly show no interest in watching her depart, despite her bright colors and shimmery superpowers. Also, just because Kamala and Najma see a distracting ethereal train coming out of the sky does not mean the rest of the Jinn wouldn't notice the DODC entering the building and approaching them for an ambush. Earlier, we saw Nakia leave for no apparent reason, and now she inexplicably turns up here just in time to see Kamala use her powers, and I need to know why we aren't focusing on her story and how she got her powers of telepathy and/or perfect timing.
Can you tell us what exactly happened?
I can't.
Your 16-year-old daughter just ruined your son's wedding. You saw her with a strange group of adults that now have been arrested, and you're going to accept "I just can't" as a reason for why she won't explain any of this to you? This has gone way beyond sneaking off at night without permission. She could be and is in serious danger, and you're just sending her off to bed with no supper? What is going on here? We're 4 episodes in and you still can't get it right, Disney? It's Miss Marvel. Jeez.
First time to Pakistan.
Stop normalizing asshole strangers that insist on talking to you on flights.
What makes you say that?
You're gripping that stuffed animal pretty tight.
This could just as easily mean she's afraid of flying, missing her friends, or that the sloth is possessed by an ancient demon from a forgotten realm that, if unleashed, will devour the souls of the pure through their eyeballs unless Kamala maintains a very specific grip around its slothy abdomen. You don't know. Holding your heartwarming family reunion in the middle of the f***ing arrival gate at an incredibly busy airport. Take your happiness where it isn't in the way. Oopsie. Remember that time I was hanging out of the car window and that guy had to swerve out of the way and ended up breaking both of his legs as he flew out of control into that poor man's small business? Yeah, good times.
Mala, your room is on the right.
This one?
No, silly, that's the fabled room of expositioning. Couldn't you tell by the clearly vague instructions that led you here?
Mala, wake up. Your cousins are waiting for you.
No, your cousins have been rudely allowed to stroll into your bedroom so they can watch while you're sleeping.
You can bring your flying teddy bear.
Silence, human. I am no teddy bear. I am Sorcerer, Lord of the Underworld, and I will end you.
Oh, I'm so sorry I'm late.
It's okay. We know it's because you're in a TV show and therefore had no choice but to arrive late, because there's literally no other recorded way to start a conversation in a TV show or movie. Also, almost a quarter of this episode is meeting family members, and as wholesome as that is, I don't think it's the best use of the show's time. Isn't there some sort of threat to the fabric of reality going on? Why is Kamala acting like she isn't being chased down by an evil group of ancient Jinn?
It's yours if you tell me the direction to the train station.
We've seen in other scenes that Kamala has a cell phone that's still functioning in Pakistan. So why doesn't she just pull up a Google Maps instead of giving this guy some money for confusing directions?
One more left, and then right. Little bit right. Okay?
This, despite Kamala looking clearly confused and borderline panicked, works? Where did Kamala go? Graffiti artists can go with any Avenger for their art piece, and they choose f***ing Ant-Man. Even Scott Lang wouldn't choose Ant-Man. At this point, Chemo thinks that Kamala is a clandestine, so he either deliberately missed because he likes drama, or he somehow managed to miss an unprepared enemy while they had their back turned.
Not sure what's worse, those glasses you tried on or that mask?
Says the individual wearing a mask.
Do all masked Americans have superpowers?
Well, how do you know I'm not Canadian?
Kamala would be Deadpool at TVSins.
Where'd you learn to jump like that, Ninja Turtles?
Where'd you learn yours, huh? Donkey Kong?
Where'd you learn to deliver those lame insults? The lame insult store?
Who are you?
What are you? You're not a clandestine.
You know about them?
How did you get it from Aisha?
Answering so many questions with so many other questions. Have these kids never been told how to conversation?
Come with me if you want to live.
What?
Just kidding. I've always wanted to say that.
Chemo here immediately goes from trying to kill Kamala because he thinks she's a clandestine to joking around and taking her to his secret base for no apparent reason other than she seems confused.
There's someone you need to meet.
You'd better come take a look at this person I need you to meet. Cliché. Furnishing her secret hideout with a glass ceiling that can be conveniently broken into by your enemies. Not that something like that would ever happen. Wait, what? This was Kamala all along?
For hundreds of years, that scarf has protected the identity of warriors willing to take on the mantle of the Red Dagger.
Assuming they aren't easily identifiable by their ears, eyes, hair, fingerprints, or DNA of any sort.
It's connected to our world, but hidden behind a veil of Noor that separates our world from theirs.
I mean, it's a very pretty map, but does it do anything else? Like, is it just pulled out for expositional purposes? How often are they bringing in strangers and telling them about the Noor dimension that it requires this fancy demo?
Do you know what it says?
It says what you seek is seeking you.
Oh, what? In case you confused it with the Department of Disastrous Colons. I have so many questions about what the just happened here. It looks like Najma has had a dagger in her hand all along, so how did the guards not see it, and why the has she waited until now to use it? I swear Marvel edits this stuff so quickly, I'm sure they're just hoping everyone will be so suddenly befuddled that they don't even question anything. Well, that's my secret, Marvel. I'm always befuddled.
Everyone, call her Sloth Baby.
How dare you take the name of Slothra in vain? You shall pay for this indignity. Pay!
Oh, sure. Whenever I start playing guitar around the campfire, everyone suddenly has plans they forgot about and hair they have to wash. But when Suave Jones here starts strumming away, the entire group is captivated. F***ing Suave Jones.
I mean, why is all this such a mess, huh? And what are all these newspapers and magazines?
Kids.
Yeah, massage.
Complaining to the person giving you a free massage.
Maybe it is time for you to start considering coming to live with us in America.
And maybe it's time for us to consider a skip.
Your humanity links you to the matter of this world. It makes your abilities unique.
As long as your definition of unique only extends to big fists and stepping stones.
Am I a Red Dagger now?
Premature celebration.
Surprise.
Surprise indeed. How the hell did they get here so fast? It is at least an 18-hour flight from New Jersey to Karachi, and Kamala's only been here 2, maybe 3 days. So the clandestines managed to break out of the DODC, figure out Kamala was in Pakistan, fly there, and figure out where this top-secret Red Dagger base was, and I demand to know who gave them the script. This completely unflinching couple who pays zero attention to the 3 people sprinting past them as they enjoy their meal. Why is she putting on the mask now? Why is this mask? I realized the clandestines would be experienced and talented enough to pull off a truck jacking, but how is the driver just landing to where he was thrown as the truck is passing by? That would require the ability to take the driver out of the truck while it was still moving and someone immediately in the vicinity of the gas pedal and steering wheel to keep it moving on course. And that's all the bullshit.
Hey, can you do something? I can't do anything!
Come on, man, what do you want from her? It's not like she has some sort of bracelet that can tap into a vast energy source from a parallel dimension with the ability to create matter at will. Sheesh.
Oh, God! Family with the baby!
Conveniently broken down family is very convenient. Or inconvenient. I mean, it's obviously inconvenient for them, but it's a very convenient obstacle for... Look, I'm just saying this is some bullshit manufactured tension.
Get yourselves to safety! I'll lead them off!
I'm amazed even one of the clandestines chose to follow him, let alone their leader, Najma. They're just after the bracelet, right? Why do they give a f*** about catching Waleed?
Okay, driving on the opposite side of the road, on stick.
You said opposite side of the road instead of wrong side of the road. It's okay, Kamala. We all make mistakes. Honestly, I don't even have the mental fortitude to keep up with this chase, but I can confidently say that this is some high-grade BS that almost everyone managed to end up on this street at this exact time, including, and especially, this sudden Deus Ex Kamalakana right here.
Nice timing! We have to go! We have to go!
And let's just leave the truck behind because it would have only gotten us to wherever we needed to go faster. Being on foot increases our chances of getting caught, so let's go that route. Pretty sure that label should read convenient instead of caution.
I have to help him!
Kamala, it's too late.
What is it with characters giving up so quickly on their mentors? Chemo didn't even have time to check a pulse. That is not his call to make. I'm sure something cool is happening right now, so here are 10 extra sins for not showing it to us and instead opting to offend my eyes with a billion impossible to follow cuts and whooshes. Thanks, Marvel. Again. Cool. Are we going to get some kind of explosion of Noor magic that rips a hole in reality that will expose Kamala to an alternate dimension where everyone is made of paint or rocks and... Wait, are we in the past?
At the stroke of the midnight hour,
Miss Marvel oration.
with those words on the eve of August 15th, 1947.
I love me some historical fiction, so I was very excited when I saw this intro shift to sepia and this film reel got queued up, especially since this is a place and time I know little to nothing about. But then I realized it wasn't one of the characters watching this archival footage, it was just me. Marvel's tricked me into this expositional history class, and all my instincts from childhood tell me I should resist this by kicking and sinning. Scene opens on the feet of someone running fetish. I mean cliche. Bringing a knife to a gunfight. I mean, it ends up working out, but doesn't make it any less of a sin. My hands are tied. The sin, as always, is the British. Poking someone with your stick without explicit consent.
Touch me and I'll break your leg.
What? You mean this one?
Hassan laughs this off because one of his legs isn't very good, but regardless, it'd still be incredibly painful to have it broken, and it's not like she specified which leg she'd even be breaking. Also, villagers are now speaking in English to each other, even though in the previous scene they were not.
No human alive can resist the smell of a fresh fried paratha.
Paratha boasting. Paratha-esting? Boast-parathing? Also, this works.
Do you know when I saw you out there, it reminded me of my favorite poem.
I can't hear whether or not he says poem or poet, but the subtitles on my version say favorite poem, while Hassan goes on to describe two different quotes by the same poet. So, whether it's the fault of the person who said the words or the person who transcribed them, here's a sin.
Aisha, she who lives, a beautiful name.
TV shows and movies always act like knowing the meaning of someone's name is second nature. Well, I don't know the exact percentage of people that memorize what every name means in their language. I feel safe in saying it's less than 1%. Furthermore, TV shows and movies treat this particular skill as if it's romantic or cute, where it's actually creepy as hell. Aisha should be running now because it's 50-50 or whether or not Hassan is a serial killer. Aisha is not singing me a lullaby in this scene.
As religious unrest sweeps across the country, the Prime Minister urges India's citizens to remain calm by saying,
That wasn't clever editing by us. These lines just hilariously line up on their own. And making jokes out of your dialogue is supposed to be my job.
Of course I do. But I hid the bangle for safekeeping. You have until sundown tomorrow.
This is one of the most uncomfortable conversations I've ever seen, and each character is telegraphing super hard how their intentions do not match what they're actually saying. It's so obvious that I have no idea why either of them is attempting a ruse. And it's surprising that this doesn't immediately break down into a brawl in which all of Hassan's roses get trampled. Oh, look at that. Another object imbued with mystical powers glows purple in a Marvel property. They're probably all connected or some right?
You knew I was running from something, but you never pushed.
Because I didn't care.
And you're hot. I mean the didn't care thing. That's what I meant.
I'll find it if it's the last thing I do.
Sure, we all knew Aisha was going to die or at least disappear because Kamala's father prophesied it at the dinner table in episode 2. But still, finding the bangle probably could have been the first or maybe even second thing you did if you hadn't killed the person who knows where it is and where it's going.
You have everything that you need.
Except for a more precise explanation of how I got here and what I'm supposed to be doing now that I'm here. But sure, I'll take this picture and hope for the best.
You're supposed to save Nani like the story. She's okay. Because you are here.
Show tries to downplay it, but it pretty much just pulled it back to the future by creating a situation where Kamala has to help her grandmother get to the train in order to ensure her own existence. Aisha just died from a pretty severe stab wound, and yet there's not an ounce of blood to be seen. Just saying, this is one of many ways modern media is giving our kids unrealistic expectations. For as simple a premise as it is, a lost child continues to be one of the scariest things one can see on screen. And I'm a bit resentful of the writers for using this against my emotions. How exactly is this more effective than carrying her grandmother back to Hassan? The crowd of people is still in the way. It'd be one thing if she formed these things up and over the crowd, but she's putting them at max 1 to 2 feet off of the ground. Alright, I get that everybody here probably has bigger concerns at the moment, but Kamala using her powers seemed to be a pretty big deal to everyone in her time period. Now, I'm not expecting everyone to start posting about it on social media, but I'm sure at least a few of these people would be like, what the f*** is this I see the writers have decided that the biggest threat to Kamala's powers will be slight bumps and distractions.
It was me.
Kamala doesn't acknowledge how this time loop nonsense of traveling from the future to create your own past can really f*** with your concept of free will.
Pick it up, pick it up.
This line was not preceded by, if my train goes off the track.
She's not picking up the phone. She's still not home.
I'm doubling the previous sin because now Maniba's just showing off.
You know, Magnum got lost once. I had him microchipped.
Okay, Ammi, Magnum is a dog.
Kamala's grandmother has been extremely generous and wise up to this point, so I'm not buying for a second she would think this Magnum story was in any way relatable to what Kamala's mom is going through.
Well, if Kamala's phone is on your family plan, you can just log into your account and use the Find My Phone feature to see where she is.
Explaining things to old people in a condescending manner because technology is just so easy for you, having grown up with it all your lives with cell phones and handheld computers. Listen, your parents managed to learn and unlearn some of the most unintuitive computer systems the world has ever known, and they did it well before they decided to tell everyone you were not a mistake. So cut them some slack and explain things with a little bit of patience, you Mac-wielding asshole. Kids. The sin is kids. This episode Raiders of the Lost Ark so fast I think I got whiplash. And don't forget that in the Latin alphabet, Jehovah begins with an I, in case that information becomes useful to you when you're on your last crusade.
You have Kamran!
This is as good as any time to ask, does Kamran have a father? I feel like he may be a curiously absent character. I hope Najma reveals that... Oh, never mind.
Kamran.
This works?
I don't know, but I like to think two people fell in love.
Skip?
Frank.
This is either an attempt to convey that Bruno views Kamran as a threat, or the writers using the old jump scare equals bad person or bad motives trick. I'm sending it as the latter because I'm a betting man, and that seems like the direction this is all going. Department of Damage Control my ass. Going with a blanket statement about upsetting scenes that might occur, but not giving any specifics as to who it might upset, thereby providing little more information than saying nothing at all.
This is what happens when the wrong people get powers.
The wrong people.
Kids, Agent Barry.
Agent Barry may be the most complex character in this series. He takes Agent Deaver to task on a comment that comes off as racist, and then when he finds out she's talking about kids, he proposes
enhanced rounds
as a solution and has to be told,
I want this kid taken alive.
The sin is not digging further into this man's decision-making process.
Damage control could be at Penn Station, so we're gonna transfer at the next stop and head upstate, okay?
Bruno assumes that in all of the tri-state area, Damage Control has focused its entire search on just one transportation hub. How can he be so sure they won't already be at the next stop and at pretty much every station that leads out of the city? As Bruno and Kamran make their way from car to car on the subway, we can see these two completely different windows have very similar graffiti. So similar, I'm calling someone out for plagiarism. Kamran somehow neither kills nor hurts anyone in the subway car with his spontaneous Nor emissions.
Oh my god! I had no idea!
Oh, kids! I mean, older siblings that insist on perpetuating the same relationship dynamic that existed when you were kids.
In classic con gossip train.
Whether it be gossip trains or just gossip in general, gossip is a sin. Although, does that mean I'm gossiping about how gossip is a sin? Did I just break the fourth sin wall in this video? Did Saved by the Bell, the college years, really only last one season? I need to know!
Speaker is the
Speaker is just very convenient.
This old people use technology wrong bit that everyone here seems in on goes on long enough to wonder if even the characters in Marvel properties are feeling oversaturated with the ever-expanding amount of superhero content being made. So much so that they'd rather talk about use of cell phone habits instead of Kamala being a freaking superhero.
Mom, Brenna, please pick up.
Writers undermine all the urgency by having Kamala be pretty quickly distracted by this heart-to-heart suit reveal. This QR code started off as a fun little Easter egg in previous episodes, but now I'm beginning to worry that it's going to be spun off into its own series. Yeah, it's not like her best friend could be a burnt corpse at this point or need her help. Might as well have an unnecessary moment where she stops at a red light for comedic effect. Also, unless this is a low-key acknowledgement of Spider-Man, there's no other sky traffic she would need to stop for. And really no need to stop for Spider-Man either. You know, because of his tingle.
When the coast is clear, you guys head to the high school and I'll call Kamala.
Why would we go to the high school?
Because it's the only place guaranteed to be empty on a Saturday.
Unless there's a sporting event, Saturday detention, a local event being held at the high school, or the janitorial staff gets a lot of their work done on Saturday. But other than those things and probably 10 or 20 more, yeah, it could be empty.
Presumably male, 16 to 25, Pakistani or Arab.
But you're describing practically everyone here.
She is not.
I don't have time for chronic quotes. Excuse me.
Actually, that was Abraham Lincoln.
Boom! You've been Lincolned.
Trust me, you don't want a felony on your high school transcript.
It would be weird, yes, but you don't know that for sure. I wanted braces in high school till I actually had them. What can I say? Teens are weird.
Did you hear that? I'm her boyfriend. You're both witnesses.
Why is Miguel? Did Nakia even need a person in the closet to keep this ruse going this long? This room might as well have been filled with Rashid's yummy chocolate chip cookies.
You need a disguise.
Okay, Marvel, you're very funny, and I must admit that I enjoyed this self-referential poke at how often your production team thinks a baseball cap would in any way be a sufficient disguise. But in this case, the joke here feels a bit like a hat on a hat.
What are you guys wearing?
What are you wearing?
The more important question is, how did Kamala know this is where she would find Bruno and Kamran? And if your answer is that Nakia had already called her, then I will ask you where on that costume Kamala's keeping a cell phone.
I feel like I'm being crushed from the inside out.
My screams from when I was trying to take a picture at my local theater in 2015 and the heavier-than-it-looked Pixar stand-up fell on top of me somehow make their way into this episode.
I really need to get him out of town.
I know someone who can get him out.
Well, that was so easily resolved that I'm a bit confused as to why we're using up runtime on this call instead of putting it to good use with more glowy pad jumping.
They tried to trick me into giving you up.
Zoe Ex Machina's her way into the group for, reasons.
This is the plan.
Is the plan to dedicate a lot of time to detailed drawings that ultimately cut into what the show is trying to sell as a limited time to set up the plan? Because that's pretty much what's going on here, and the only reason it doesn't impact the show in any way has to do with the writers deciding that time has no meaning here.
How did you get in here?
Bathroom window. I went to school here too.
Because knowing how to open an unlocked window and crawl through it proves you were at this location on a daily basis for 4 years.
Superheroes don't need chaperones.
Take it up with her.
Guys, clock's ticking.
I appreciate Kamran coming in to assist with this sin, but still, the show has time for this. If the drawing of your hoodie needs to also be labeled, then maybe just skip the drawings and go with a list. Also, you're in a defensive position and not actively targeting the DODC agents and feds. Well, at least most of you won't be. Just remember when they all get caught later that instead of making better preparations, our resident technical expert chose to f around with his skeleton. The thingy you're supposed to break the glass with is right there on the side of the box the entire time. I have no idea if this was supposed to be funny or just make me angry. Clarity on either side would have been fine.
You and Nakia grab as many balls as you can.
This sin is for the high school versions of you and me that are laughing exceedingly long at this statement.
And the real plan is Zoe.
Okay, so I guess using Zoe's social media presence in this plan does make all of the sense, but I'd also like to reaffirm that her conveniently being at the school so she could be part of this makes no sense.
So you mean to tell me you knew Kamal had powers and you didn't say anything?
Zoe may not have said anything, but she did force us to listen to everyone refer to Kamala as Nightlight for 6 episodes.
Do you even like British Bake Off?
No. No one genuinely likes British Bake Off, Amir. And I'm positive everyone in the YouTube comments will back me up on this. No! Not Zuzu! Not like this. As silly as the next 4 minutes of Home Alone-esque hijinks are, and the idea that all these highly trained damage control soldiers get outwitted by a bunch of kids and one random adult is a little insane, I gotta admit, it's also pretty fun to watch. With that being said, all of these highly trained damage control soldiers get outwitted by a bunch of kids and one random adult. My hands are tied, people. Go!
What, he can multiply now?
Multiple man shadowing?
Still with me?
Well, just excuse me while I skip along some glowing lily pads to get up and over this scene.
Hey! Ooh, guys, come dance with me. You know you like these moves.
Aside from Bruno's disturbing lack of rhythm, I don't recall this dance being a part of this well-illustrated plan. All it would have taken was one shot from one of these shockwave rifles to end this softball nonsense, but luckily the DODC trains their agents to blindly run around corners.
What happened to my mother?
Kamran figures out something's happened to his mother from nothing more than Kamala's desire to get help from the Red Daggers instead of Najma, and his amazing skills of intuition are never used again in this series. I guess this soldier must have attended school here as well, since he's familiar with the bathroom window entrance. I wonder if he was in the same class as Amir. Inside the school, the soldiers were firing at the kids just because they're running away from them. But outside, they just let Kamran get all juiced up without firing one shot. Kamran will now be a villain for the next 6 minutes, completely undermining the whole hat situation with him and Bruno earlier. That moment when all of the supporting characters try to make us believe that our hero might not win this one.
And begin.
Deciding to start giving your powers names in the middle of a fight. Between this and the commitment to only hand-drawn plans, I'm beginning to question Kamala's priorities. Kamala was either very certain all the agents would move out of the way at the last second, or she was very prepared to kill a bunch of people right here. Bringing a gun to a glowy light crystal with ill-defined powers fight. Everyone celebrates not being crushed to death by cheering, instead of leaving the area so as not to be almost crushed to death again. As much fun as the show can be, Deaver's a terrible and one-note villain. I don't even think Tyler Hayward would have just started opening fire at children, especially not with a viewing audience. Kamala's running crew survives this because the luck of not being killed instantly when the glowing rocks hit the van was only surpassed by the luck of these things deciding to suddenly start expanding at a much slower rate.
In her last moment, she sent everything she had to protect you.
That's what happened? I'm glad they cleared it up for me, but this exposition would have been more helpful in the previous episode. It would have gotten us in there too, just for being exposition, but I would have appreciated it more.
Get to the harbor. I'll buy you time.
Did Kamala drop a detailed map of Jersey City's subsystems that I'm unaware of? How did she know what would be under the ground here, and why does she just assume that Kamran will know how to get to the harbor through this random hole she's created in the ground? And why is Kamran so confident in his ability to do this that he slides right down into the ground with no further questions?
Are you okay? That was amazing.
I'm not sure Kamala needs this mask, since her parents are clearly going to do a job of keeping her identity secret.
Kapow!
Kapow. Kablam.
What'd she say? The Joss Gyros are the best in Jersey City.
Lying or shameless self-promotion. Take your pick.
I share the same name as Carol frickin' Danvers.
I don't know who that is.
He doesn't? How's that even possible? Outside of the fact that she helped save the world, his daughter has images of Carol plastered all over a room. Yusuf has never once asked, hey, what's the name of that lady on your wall?
But you sure are, and always have been, our own little Miss Marvel.
Roll commercials is what we say here on TVSins, but I might have to start making an exception for Marvel and their penchant for surprisingly long credits on a TV show.
I, for one, think that it looks much better on the streets of Jersey City.
Thinking anything looks better in New Jersey.
Kamala, there's something different in your genes, like a mutation.
Threatening us with X-Men content instead of just giving us a moment to be content with the story we just finished.
Whatever it is, it's just gonna be another label.
Marvel sounding completely uninterested in delivering the X-Men content it just threatened us with. Marvel forces Marvel's Captain Marvel into Marvel's Miss Marvel to prep for Marvel's The Marvels because Marvel!
Have you tried not being a mutant?
Who is that girl I see?
Sorry, that's the Lion King. But the point still stands.
I could like wear a cape.
Cool.
Nuggets!
There's a scientific study that shows that if you stand like this in superhero pose, you will not only feel more confident, you will perform measurably better.
That's the plan. Got it?
I'm not sure this plan will work.
How likely is it I'm gonna find it there when I get back?
Oh, I'd say you have a 0.0001% chance.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Did you ever have the feeling you was being watched?
What goes up must come down.
Wait, what makes you think you have Ant-Man powers?
I ate 6 muffins downstairs a while ago, and my cholesterol level is 305.
This girl shows up, breaks into my house, takes the lantern, blasts me, and suddenly she's best friends with Pat, saying she's a superhero's daughter, and we're just supposed to believe it all without question.
Now it comes to it. I don't feel like parting with it. It's mine. I found it. It came to me.
Rudolph, please, would you tone it down a bit? That nose, that beautiful, wonderful nose.
One. Very cute. And...
Chanel, you're in desperate need of Chanel.
Hello. What'd you do, jump ship? What? Well, what's with the life preserving?
Remember the time you were working with, what was the name? Hot Topic?
Of course. Freaking Hot Topic. That explains everything.
How do you feel about our first dance as husband and wife being to Living on a Prayer?
Patrick, that's a terrible idea.
I don't know, it seems like a lot of bad things happen because of this bangle.
It's an inanimate fucking object.
You're an inanimate fucking object!
Dude, I just had the craziest night.
There were horses and a man on fire, and I killed a guy with a trident.
That idea is terrible.
Return when you have a signed warrant.
Now get the off my property.
Separate the tail from the body with a firm twist. You can discard the body or you can save it for soup.
Right. There's a chance.
Kamala.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
You choose me?
Which is why you have to come. You have to come to Karachi.
It's your kids, Marty. Something has got to be done about your kids.
You're wearing a shirt that says New Jersey.
New Jersey!
Oh God! Family with the baby!
There was no baby, it was full of cans.
You want to know the secret to surviving air travel?
After you get where you're going, take off your shoes and your socks. Then you walk around on the rug barefoot and make fists with your toes.
I didn't realize you were in here with someone.
So you will be this armless, legless, faceless thing, won't you? Rolling down the street like a turd in the wind.
I hate this. It is revolting.
In all the years and everything I've heard about that bangle, there was no mention of an inscription.
Do you know what it says?
Hey, Beva, pull my finger.
We all go by nicknames here, right?
Yeah.
What's yours?
Shark bait.
Shark bait!
Outstanding. Now, let's bite all the heads off and pile them up in the corner.
Go home! Are you too good for your home?
So, do you have a name?
You! That's my name!
I know that you're pretty attached to that rotting tree branch, but I thought it might be nice to have a walking stick that actually helped you walk.
I really value your criticism, but maybe we're being a little hasty here.
But you never pushed.
Because I didn't care.
Stay alive, no matter what occurs. I will find you.
I'll find it if it's the last thing I do.
I feel like I've been stabbed in the heart.
It was me. It's connected all night long.
It all started when a time travel experiment I was conducting went a little caca.
I have an announcement to make.
I'd asked you for getting that
just
con market. What? Oh.
Santa! Oh my God! Santa here? I know him.
I just want to be sure that you're being careful out there. I mean,
Be their monument, be their angel, be anything they need you to be. Or be none of it. You don't know this world a thing.
This feels a bit more like you, hmm?
No capes.
I feel like I'm being crushed from the inside out.
I can't believe you're making this about you.
We're with you.
I'm with you to the end of the line, pal.
Apparently there's such thing as bad press, and I don't like it. What is this?
There is no such thing as bad publicity, sweetheart.
She chose you.
You were the chosen one. It was said that you would destroy this sin, not join them.